Can a handwriting expert tell if a document was signed under duress? Ooh, that's interesting. It reminds me of all those true crimes. So I'm sitting in a police station, and this detective was telling me that the actual letter, she believes, was written with the guy tied to a chair, and the pen was put in his hands, and he was writing the letter. That was her theory, the detective theory, about this under duress writing, which is really interesting because most of our cases are about whether or not an individual wrote a letter, not whether or not an individual wrote a letter under duress. And so that is a tricky situation. There are clues and there are books and research studies on what anxiety looks like or stress, but essentially it's going to be high heart rate, a lot of fear, and there's going to be hesitations and unusual handwriting issues in the writing under duress that wouldn't be there naturally. Now, we'll say handwriting under duress is still the same person writing it. So you are identifying the writer, but you're saying, but there's something so unique about this, it needs to be considered by the judge or the jury. I would say the same thing with intoxication. I did a will once that it was very disappointing because it actually was the dude's handwriting, but it was written on a bar napkin and he was drunk as a skunk. Like you could tell, like them wasn't normal with his handwriting. And so there's an old Seagram's ad, I'll show you the ad here, where it says 1 drink, 2 drink, 3 drinks, 4 drinks. And it talks about how alcohol affects handwriting. Well, I don't know if handwriting would be considered duress or alcohol would be considered duress, but it definitely affects your cognitive ability. That's why you're not supposed to drive and drink. That's why you're not supposed to drive and make videos. Probably also under duress right now. I just see, look at my handwriting. I'm a dangerous fellow. I'm a risk taker. So absolutely. In fact, if you look at this image, you'll see Seagram. This is an old Seagram's ad from 1971 where we're showing actually what happens when someone drinks. Now, I don't know the history of this ad. It might or might not be true, but it's really well articulated. And based on my information of seeing people inebriated and seeing people and seeing research on different kind of drugs, it definitely affects the cognitive ability, and therefore it affects the cognitive ability. It affects the driving ability. And of course, could affect the handwriting. I mean, essentially, handwriting is just a frozen movement of your physiology as you're moving fingers. So if you think about a person ice skating, there's this beautiful art going on, but there's traces of where that person was on the ice. That's kind of the edges, right? That's what handwriting is. It's tracing your physiology of your brain. And because it's so unique, they've been using it in court for hundreds of years to identify an individual person. My name is Bart Baggett. If you like this kind of content, if you like the brain, if you like science, if you like forensics, if you like crime or drama, hit subscribe and like. We talk about the psychology, talk about criminal handwriting, talk about real cases that I go to and real $1 million forgery cases that have helped people won. And if you need our help directly, we have offices in many parts of the U.S. and we can help you solve a $1 million forgery case. Just go to handwritingexpertusa.com and give our office a call, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.